Dhurandhar the Revenge, and I really wanted to talk spoilers, so here's some spoilers. Hello there, namaste. So if you saw my previous review, I was trying to tiptoe around spoilers, you know, just to be polite to other, but there's so much in this film that I just really wanted to talk about, and I'm just going to start from the beginning. The fact that the trailer kind of, it leads you down the right path, but it kind of misleads you at the same time. That the fact that it makes it seem like he's a criminal because they show him walking around with a gun, and the fact that he is a criminal, but he was a hero first and foremost, because as a man who literally believes like a man's duty is to protect his family first and foremost, and some people take it to the extent of protecting their nation as well, because they view that as a whole, like their family lives in a nation. The fact that that's who he was, he's a legitimate soldier. They got the perfect man for the job. And a lot of people are calling this propaganda. No, this thing is historical fiction. That's literally the genre. If anyone's seen Saving Private Ryan, if anyone's seen Patriot, if anyone's seen Patriots Day, those are all fictional characters that literally utilize true events to tell a narrative. This one is a spy narrative, which literally, sure, it doesn't make India look like literally great in espionage? Absolutely. Does it also make India look poor? Absolutely. Because when the way it starts off is corrupt politicians, and the fact that his sister, his mother, all that is literally utilized, they're taken advantage of, and all over a land dispute, and the government's not willing to assist him, so he needs to take the law into his own hands. And I was thinking, just like, this makes India look bad. And I was thinking about it, I was just like, wait a minute now. The US is just as bad. We just do a better job of trying to make it look like it's not bad, because the common people normally can go to court. But when it comes to like politicians or someone famous, someone rich, that nothing happens to them if they do something corrupt. I mean, just look at the files that are going on. So in the end, I was just like, nah, it's pretty much the same, but it just looks like it's done better. And the people kind of have more of a voice. But famous people always get what they want. But at the same time, I felt for him, because I'm just like, if that was my family, I would eradicate every single one of them. And at the very end, the man who was basically begging him was like, we were friends growing up, all this, I wouldn't have let him off so quickly. A gunshot from the butt to the brain, You shoot out a kneecap, then the other kneecap. You go for the groin, remove that, you remove the elbows, you literally incapacitate him entirely, and then you walk away, let him bleed out, because no matter what, you're going to prison. Either he'll never walk again, I mean, this is what I would do, he would never walk again, or he'd bleed out, painfully die. That's me, that's how I would take my revenge. One thing I do wish they changed the position in the film is like the training montage. They literally have that at the very end of the film. It's a post-credit scene. But I feel it would have been nice to have it before we go back to the present, so we get kind of a segment as to how he is the way he is. Why is he so good at manipulating? Why did he do this when the kid was shot and dying? Why did he pretend? How was he so influential in that moment? I think it would have added a lot of credence to the previous film if they had that segment. My thinking is, when they did that, they were like, you know what? We've had a few minutes too much, but then again, the opening feels like instantaneous because this film just flies by. So that's why I feel like they could have added it there. But I think they were like, you know what? We've had too much time in the past. We need to get back to the present. So they probably put it at the end. But I think it would have been a nice little feature to show, oh, he learned this, he learned this, he learned this. He was the top of his class in almost every single thing. This is why he's the best at what he does. That would have been a nice little segment to transition into present day when he starts basically hunting down everyone. And then it shoots to present day where he's basically manipulating everyone in order to become the head. Because what I think his name's Uzair, the younger brother of the person he literally beat to a pulp in the last film, the fact that he utilizes him, and it's mind-boggling that the fact that Uzair was actually labeled, and this is for everyone who got to the end of the film, of course, it's the spoilers, the fact that that person is actually historically labeled as an informant for India. The fact that, what was he actually a spy? I don't know, he could have been, but the fact that they utilized that in the film as a, you know what, he was just a pawn. But yeah, the fact that he was manipulated the entire time. He was a drug addict. He let the people know when he had flown to Dubai. It's just like, oh, he's coming off. He's under a Afghanistan passport. You know, you can get him at this point in order to get the throne. But this is what I actually like, is it literally shows a sequence of assassinations through time, and how you know time is passing is due to the pregnancy of his wife. Because it goes from assassination to assassination to assassination to assassination very quickly. And I was originally thinking, it was just like, this is all happening way too fast. But they keep cutting back to his wife, to them getting a bigger house, to the fact that his infant is born, to the fact that that kid is now like 10 years old, as assassinations are still going on. I really like that. And the fact that these assassinations actually happen like that in real life. The fact that the favorite one I had was when he was on the call with the SP. He's like talking to him and then boom, it's all done. That person gets assassinated in a car bombing. I freaking love that because, again, it's historical fiction. They take real events and build a narrative around it. Was India involved in some of those? Possibly. Absolutely, possibly. But at the same time, it's historical fiction. They're just utilizing it. So people who are calling it propaganda, it's propaganda because it makes you excited for the potential India has in the future, I guess. And if anything's gonna let you know that this is historical fiction, is the fact that they bring back his friend from childhood. What is the line from, I think it's Casablanca, of all the gin joints in all the world? Like, what are the odds of him being the agent for that? The fact that you get him from the origin story of his past and when he sacrificed himself to take out an entire house of people to save his sister. His best friend was supposed to marry his sister. And his best friend now is literally working for the people that he once despised. The people who apparently are also in aid to Pakistan in bringing around Punjab's freedom from India. But I really like that because he's introduced as nothing but someone who's trying to recover from his father's legacy. His father, you're introduced to immediately that his father's a drug addict, an alcoholic, a useless nobody. And then when you're reintroduced to his friend, he's the exact same thing, but apparently useful to the organization because he can literally taste a ton of narcotics and be able to test their quality even when they're all mixed up. And I really loved how they induced the psychosis. The fact that he recognized his friend, he wanted to figure out what was going on, but it was freaking crazy. The induced psychosis. I mean, I was thinking, you know what? He could have probably called for help, but he couldn't risk him saying someone else's name. But he could have called for help as the person was literally destroying his own body, fighting for no apparent reason. Because if someone witnessed that, they would have seen Hamza literally standing back going like, no, hey, don't do this, the entire time, blocking the attacks. Every time it was his friend trying to stab him, trying to hurt him, always just out of his mind. But I freaking love that because it leads into one of the most heartfelt situations, because here he literally has to take out his friend from childhood, but his friend has made his choice to portray his nation. And then he literally has to take out someone who has sacrificed his life for his nation, literally, to get shot down. I really liked Alam. He was literally one of my favorites. I was hoping to get his origin story, but again, like I said in the other one, you aren't supposed to know all their stories because they could be anyone. They could be your best friend. They could be your uncle. They could be your parent. There are so many people out there who are willing to do what is necessary for their nation, and that's, I think, the point. It's supposed to allow people to feel happy that there are people willing to sacrifice so much, and maybe make some of those people out there who have lost loved ones, who have just outright disappeared, that maybe they're doing something great for their nation. That's really what it is. It was there to give people hope, to make people feel like there is a future for the people of the motherland. But I gotta say, that death was one of the hardest things, because you literally see Hamza breaking down after the whole thing. The fact that he starts drinking, as he's dancing, he's tearing up. His acting in this film is spot on. Absolutely spot on. I freaking love him. He is absolutely amazing. He commits to the role. You literally see him dying like inside himself when he knows what he has to do. But again, why it's historical fiction is because with him having to take out Alam, allows SP and others to suspect, there is something weird about this Hamza character. Let's look into him, because that's the moment where they actively have a traitor in their midst taken out and not be tortured, not be questioned, not for anything. The fact that he took him out immediately made everyone else suspect. And what they have done with Major Ikbal, I gotta say, the best thing about it was the introduction of his father. The fact that you kind of see how he became who he became, because his father was such, again, you don't want to excuse people's monstrous actions, but you include like an extremist mindset, you include a belittling family, you include probably impotence as well, which I guess because they introduced that his own child was, it looks like they have Down syndrome. It looked like his daughter had Down syndrome. I don't know if that's what it was, but it portrayed it that way. And the fact that his father's just like, my son is useless, I should have had more kids, I impregnated so many women in Bengal when I was there, terrorizing, you know, that kind of nonsense. And the father sounded like one of those people who talks about things that he doesn't actually truly know to kind of uplift himself, only to find out that that was the case. And the son knew about that the entire time. Major Ikbal, I mean, I gotta say that was the best thing, because when they first introduced his father, the tub in the background is overfilling. And immediately, with how his father was talking and with the type of person Major Ikbal is, I was thinking, you know what? He's gonna follow him and he's gonna drown him. Of course, that doesn't happen till the very end of the film, but I freaking did like how they hinted at it so early on. I love it when cinematography, when directors know the pacing and know how to seed something, because immediately, I'm pretty sure most people are like, ugh, he's gonna kill him right now. And then it just happened the way everyone thought, but way down the road. And I love those little things, those little nuances that are introduced, and people who know cinematography, who know actually how to direct, always introduce these elements so everyone knows what's coming down the road, unless you're trying to do something like Sherlock Holmes to where you really hide those elements and only the real main lead character knows. I loved how they did it. I really do, because it was just like, yes, yes, which is funny. I hated Major Ikbal, but seeing his father die, I was just like, you know what? I feel good. I feel good. I do think it is crazy how the wife finds out who he is, but holds on to it. But she's in love. She's in love. She's willing to do anything. It's like my wife. If I was to murder someone, she'd bury the body for me. I wouldn't have to dig it. If I would just be like, I come home, blood covered all over me. She'd wipe my hands, she'd clean my face, she'd burn my shirt, and then she'd bury the body. I wouldn't have to worry. But that's the thing. It's just like, sometimes we get lucky in life. And I gotta say, Hamza was absolutely lucky, because she was like, you know what? I'll do anything. I'll do anything at this point. She hated him, but at the same time, she still loved him. And that part where he's basically reading out the names and explaining what they did in India. And by the way, they killed 20 times that here in Pakistan. They hate this place. They take advantage of this place before they take advantage of India. And that's normally the case. That's normally the case, because they introduced that in the last film where they poisoned the supply of water to the school because they don't want educated children. Because how do you formulate a cult? How do you formulate an extreme mindset? Remove the education system. And I gotta say, I really like how it went about that. The fact that they find out because they hold the child hostage, I was hoping that when the whole thing came to a head, he would kill the man who literally took the child hostage. I was hoping, but that of course is another post-credit scene which leads into something else. But the boss fight between Major Ikbal and Hamza, I liked it because everything was kind of seated when he met with the people. And one thing I do find very strange is how people can hate one another. They have the Baloch and then they have the Pathan, and they hate one another. And I was just like, how? How is that possible? But you have to think about it from the mindset. What do Americans do to other nations that they feel superior of? They belittle them. What do other nations do to cultures that they feel superior to? What do religions do to other religions they feel superior to? What does a nation, which is the weakest, do in order to feel like it's powerful? It belittles itself. The same thing happens in Africa, where you have different tribes fighting one another because one is better than the other. And if we look at it from that mindset, it's the human feeling to be superior. If you can utilize that, you can get in power. And the fact that in Pakistan, it was constantly being utilized. You have the Pathan versus the Baloch constantly at war with one another. You make it about whatever those mean. Because to me, they're all the same. Just like in America, I view every American as an American. Some are retarded, some are more educated, some are simplistic, but we're all American. But that's how I've grown up thinking. Sure, there are people who think differently than that, but that's the thing. It's just like they want to feel superior, but they can't target anyone else, that they have to take control in their own nation. Just like Nazi Germany did, just like every cult. They always need to take over where they're at first to breed out that superiority and then be like, you know what? Because we've done this, we're the superior race. Let's target everyone else. But that's the mindset there. So even though it doesn't make sense, it's a tool utilized by people in order to stay in power. And it's absolutely barbaric because everyone has red blood. Everyone is a human being when they're targeting one another. It's insane. But Major Ikbal's fight sequence with Hamza could have been done a little better. I like it, but at the same time, the death, even though he severs one leg and the other one is literally hanging on by flesh, and then he's put in kerosene, and well, that would burn the flesh to begin with. Remove his hands and let him drown. That's what I was thinking. I mean, I'm learning that I'm an incredibly barbaric human being when it comes to protecting family. When it comes to protecting family, absolutely. I'm incredibly barbaric. But one of the best characters throughout this entire single film, all of Dhurandhar, has to be the father-in-law. He is by far one of the best characters because every time he's on screen, he'll say something that's out of left field, or he's like one of those people that speaks their mind, being insulting while not being insulting, or he mispronounces things all the time. It is absolutely hilarious. He is comedic gold. And the fact that every time he like transitions parties, he'll shake someone's hand, like, you know, just because it's like, oh, this is the new party. Let's put this up. Let's put this up. I freaking love it. He's like a cockroach that you just can't stamp out because he always goes to the winning side. Only to find out, of course, that he's been an operative for India all along. And that's the sad part. It's like he realized probably early on who Hamza was, and he was going to aid him throughout. He was going to have to sacrifice his own daughter to this man, knowing that this man one day will either be captured or disappear. In both cases, he would never see her again. And a lot of people might be thinking, why could she not leave with him? The reason is he still works there. He's still a perfect plant for India. And I loved his mindset. Why would you kill them when you can watch them suffer? That was freaking dark. I was like, this is my man. This is my man. He'll poison like a leader of Pakistan and literally be at his bedside table from then on, just watching him suffer. I freaking love that. That was like gold right there. That was perfect. It was insane. Absolutely insane. I was like, yep, this guy's got my mindset. And he was always perfectly placed to poison these people. Always perfectly placed. But he's not going to poison the ones he can't take advantage of. However, I do gotta say, R. Madhavan, he needs his own film. He really does. Playing Ajit Duval, absolutely amazing. They could literally do a lot of his character arcs, because there were a few sequences where I'm like, are they going to introduce a spin-off here? Because there's one scene where they find out the information about the bills and the fact that they needed to get rid of them all, and then he's like, hold on, I need to do something right now. And then he walks away, and then we get a newsreel of like the bills no longer being useful. But in my head, I'm like, you know what? Are they trying to seed a film where he's starting to go off on his own and do his own things, because everyone knows that he was literally the reason how India found out all the scientists that were in charge of Pakistan's nuclear program. He was a homeless man for like 4 years outside the nuclear plant, observing the comings and goings of all the scientists, of all the technicians, of everyone there. I mean, that would be an amazing story. And I freaking love Arun Madhavan. He's an amazing actor. Ever since Three Idiots, I've been following his career. The only thing I hated him in was Shaitan, because that's just a crap film, which is why I call it what it is. But everything else, I mean, sure, he did bring character, but the film was just bad. But every single thing, he embodies the character, from Railwaymen to Three Idiots to I still need to see Rocketry, but he's so freaking, he commits to the role. I could easily see him doing all of it, and I would love to see this kind of guy, because it's always the ones who do their own thing and everyone knows what he has done. They are the scariest, because he sits behind a desk leading the teams, telling them all what to do. But the fact that he's able to do it himself just proves how scary he is. He's basically M from 007, but actually willing to get his hands dirty. I swear, if there is a sequel to this, it has to be his character. It really does. I don't want to see Hamza back. I really love how they ended it, because that ending is for the audience to decide. It's for the audience to feel their comfort. I love it when they have a film like this, where it's the audience's own perspective on how their nation flows for them to choose. If a woman's watching it, the odds are the way it ends is he's gonna return to his family. If a patriotic man is watching this, the way it ends, he sees his family's comfortable, he's gonna return to the battlefield to keep his family safe. That is how I envision it, because at the end, he looks one way towards his family's door. He looks towards the road to where he can continue adding support to his nation, to his family, vicariously through his actions. And then he looks at the camera to allow us to decide for him. And for me, it was, you're going back to the battlefield. You are needed far more out in the grounds than your family needs you. You're already supporting your family by being gone, because the government has allowed them to receive the incomes of your abduction. And I gotta say, that's a beautiful way to end it, allowing the viewer to decide for themselves. Because if they bring him back, I am not going to be happy if it's Ajit Duval returning to his family home to pick him up, and I'm not going to be happy if it's Ajit Duval literally ordering to go somewhere, because then we're like, oh, he didn't return home. But it's going to make everyone unhappy. Leave it as it is. He had his story. He's going to go out. It'll allow people to be like, oh, he returned home to be with his family. Oh no, he's out there. He's still doing what is necessary for our nation. Leave it at that. Don't bring him back. He's an amazing actor. He did an amazing job, but we don't need Dhurandhar 3. We don't. Just have another character do another thing and have it be in the same universe, because this is freaking amazing. And the fact that they're referencing like Yuri Strategic Strike, or I don't know, the director's like one of his older films, which I've seen already. I freaking did enjoy that film, because that film is like India's first time of taking initiative of attacking, and I'm just like, you know what? They need more of this. If you have the intel, just do it. And the fact that it's like, you know what, we're gonna try and do more. Absolutely. Absolutely. Respect to a nation that knows the intel and then acts on that intel immediately. Because you don't want to have, oh, you know what? Let's sit in the council room, figure out exactly what's going on before anything. That's how you end up with 2611. That's how you end up with a ton of things that happened, because they know the intel, they just don't know how to act on it. I absolutely did love this film. I can't really even think of anything that's wrong, because in the second one, there was no aura farming. In the last one, sure, I had an issue with that because it really slowed down. You really felt the pacing of it when that popped up, and it was just like, it just slows down to slow motion, and then it speeds up again once that's over. But in the film, it just continuously goes through, and before you know it, in the blink of an eye, it is done. It was insane. When the interval came up, I was just like, wait a minute, it's a 4-hour film. Why are they putting this like an hour into it? that's just how great this film is. The pacing, the way it keeps the audience kind of engaged throughout the entire thing. I love the cinematography. I love the shots. I love the locations. The fact that they were in Thailand, they were in Amistar, I believe, I'm butchering the name, honestly. They were all over just to emulate everything. I think the house that his family moved to was in Amistar. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But that's absolutely amazing. I love how they made it all up, because of course they wouldn't go to Pakistan to shoot this film. But I love it. I absolutely love it. The utilization of special effects like CGI on like the massive explosions when SP was, everything was so well done. There is one thing, however, I don't know if it happened in all cinemas, but in the cinema I was in, near the end, when he's fighting Major Ikbal, there is a sequence of shots where the automatic rifle, the AK, or the M4, I think it is, where the barrel lights up because they pulled the trigger, but there is no sound of the gun firing. I think that happens 3 times, where it's not synced up or they forgot that. I don't know if it happened in all cinemas, but it happened in the one I was in. So I don't know if they messed up in that and they're gonna have to add that audio bit in later, but I had that issue. I saw that and I was just like, oh, near the end they messed up on the audio. Just like when he's on the phone with his wife at the end of the film, like they show her literally bawling and crying. No, they show her like tearing up and her lip quivering, but the audio is of her bawling and crying as if she's like heaving, as if her mouth is open. They messed up on that, and I do gotta say the audio was a little off near the end of the film. I think it's because they shot them back to back and they released it like almost immediately, not giving the editors enough time to do the sequence correctly. I think that's it. So they went through it. As they got to the end, they kind of rushed through it and forgot those 2 elements. The bullets, while they're in the cloud of dust after I think it was a mosque, the temple basically falls down on top of them because there are those 2 to 3 gunshots that have no sound. And then there is the phone call with his wife where she's bawling, but the footage they're showing is just her tearing, just her like, just a few sniffles. That's all it would have been. It wouldn't have been her bawling her eyes out and like heaving her guts out. There wouldn't have been any of that. But yeah, that's really the only thing I gotta complain about in this one. Just a few audio mishaps. But that's it. That's because I believe that they had to rush it near the end. That's it. Everything else was just so spectacularly done, so well integrated throughout everything, throughout the world, throughout what has happened in history. Historical fiction at its finest. At its finest. And I love historical fictions because they're able to grasp a lot of things that happened and then show you through one character's narrative. One character's narrative. Like in Patriot Day, it's the Boston bombing. A lot of things happened, but you're able to follow one character to see that entire thing play out. In Patriots Day, it's about how United States got independence from Europe, and you're able to follow Benjamin Martin as he continues through historical pieces that happened throughout that war in order to get to that point. In Saving Private Ryan, it's about battles that were fought, battles that were lost, like characters' stories of what happened in that war that were able to be shown that otherwise wouldn't have been shown. And I gotta say, respect to historical fiction. Sure, do they make you feel more pride for something than you probably should? Probably, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still absolutely enjoyable. And it is great to feel pride from where you come from. And for me, it's like to feel pride from another nation. I mean, I enjoy patriotic things. I love things that kind of push a nation forward, that make them feel, you know what? We are happy with what we've achieved. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's an absolutely amazing film. It's absolutely worth a watch. And if you made it all the way to the end of the spoiler review, thank you. Thank you all for watching. I freaking enjoyed this film. This film is absolutely phenomenal. Normally I don't do a spoiler, but there's just so much in this film that I wanted to talk about because it is so freaking in-depth. And there's probably more that I want to say, but I just need to watch it several more times. I'll probably do a watch along for it at some point because I freaking love it. I freaking love it. There is so much here. And of course, if I do a watch along, I'll be waiting till the end to see if the audio cues for the guns and her bawling are actually in sync. Other than that, amazing film. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.
You guys got a video? So bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait, where's that?